A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I want A+ English because it's so much fun. English education for you and everyone, so come along. Learn some grammar, learn a phrase, learn something new every day. Learn the A+ way. Hey, it's time to start the show. Are you ready? Good, 'cause here we go. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I want A+ English.
Hi everyone, welcome to A+ English. I'm Mike.
I'm Chickling.
And we're going to be talking to a tarot card reader. Have you ever had your cards read or your fortune told? Or maybe you are a tarot card reader.
I am not, but I actually have had experienced this
Really?
before.
In a real way, or just like your friend and you were just playing around with it? Oh, okay. You've actually gone to a tarot card reader. So you're the perfect person to ask our warm-up question to. Do you want to know your future before it happens? Why or why not?
Of course not.
What? You went to a tarot card reader. You wanted to know your future then.
No, it was just for fun.
What do you mean? But they still tell you your future.
No, she was just like, oh, can you come to me? And then she wanted to make money. And then I was like, okay, maybe I should give her a chance.
Interesting. So you did it just for fun, just to kind of see what it was. Do you remember any of the things she told you? And did any of those things actually happen?
Of course not. Like everything she said wasn't right. So
really?
So it's actually a really bad experience. But not every tarot card readers are bad. Of course, some of them are so good.
Okay.
But I'm just saying that if you know your future before it happens, it wouldn't be fun.
That's true. It kind of takes the surprise out of life. And if it was something really bad and you couldn't stop it, would you really want to know? Do you know what I mean? Because you'll just spend the rest of your time worrying about that thing that will happen that I can't change.
Yeah,
and that's
so
no good.
You have to be in control of your life. That's what I mean. I don't want to know.
Yeah. So
I'm just going to lead my life.
So maybe skip the visits to the tarot card readers and just live your life.
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds simpler, and also you'll save money.
Yeah.
Because they often charge money. So let's find out about tarot cards, tarot card readers, and if this is a good way of finding out about your future. In the article.
Talking to a tarot card reader. Warm-up question. Do you want to know your future before it happens? Why or why not?
People started using tarot cards to tell fortunes a long time ago. We spoke to Catherine, a tarot card reader. Let's learn about her interesting job.
Why did you become a tarot card reader?
I wanted to explore the inner part of myself, so I went to fortune tellers. I tried so many kinds and became interested in fortune telling. Later, I began studying tarot. I used it to fix my own problems at first. Now, I help others too.
How did you get this job? Was there a job interview? What was it like?
I was surprised there was an interview. I talked with the boss and read cards for her during the interview.
All right, so the article begins by telling us that people started using tarot cards to tell fortunes a long time ago. Yeah, a really long time ago. I mean, I think tarot cards have been around for hundreds and hundreds of years.
Really?
Oh yeah, going back a long time in history. Because of course, people have wanted to have their fortune told for a long time too.
所以这个 tell fortunes 就是算命，所以算命的人叫做 fortune teller。所以算命这件事情 we can simply say fortune telling.
Yeah.
所以呢，很久以前人们就开始使用这个塔罗牌来算命了。那我们今天也看到第一个过去简单式搭配过去时间点的用法。我们先进到今天的 Magic Box。
Magic Box.
大家好，我是甜心教主 Cindy 王心凌。现在啊，你们不知道，以前呢，姐我可是号称甜美天花板哦。I was the sweetest idol at that time。不是呢，都说 I am, you are, he is, she is。那为什么我说 I was 呢？因为啊，这个呢就是英文超级常用的过去简单式啦。发生在过去、结束在过去的事情或是状态，我们呢就要用过去简单式哦。所以说啊，这个过去发生，过去也结束了。难道甜心教主现在不是甜妹了吗？当然不是咯，因为我现在是甜姐啦。过去简单式呢，搭配过去时间呢，也要配合来变化一下动词哦。这个变化呢，要怎么变呢？通常呢，我们会在动词的后面呢加上 ed。比方说呢，最近因为我参加了新节目的演出，多了好多新粉丝来 follow 我的社群媒体哦。他们呢都来看我的粉丝页有什么更新。A lot of my fans visited my fan page。很多粉丝呢造访了我的粉丝页。注意到呢 visit 拜访这个动词呢，我们就加上 ed。visited 表示呢过去访问。那访问的这个动作呢，也在过去的时间那个当下就结束了啊。这个呢就是我们的过去简单式咯。所以啊，看到动词后面接 ed， 大概呢就可以猜到呢是我们的过去时间啦。但有没有不规则的变化呢？当然有啦。例如呢，刚刚看到的这个 be 动词就是I am, he is, she is， 我们呢就要变成 was，I was, she was。那 you are 的这个 are 呢，我们呢就要变成 were， 要请大家多留意咯。知道了过去简单式是什么，我们呢可以来看一些句子咯。比方说呢，大家看我在节目上唱唱跳跳，好像很轻松的模样。I practiced a lot for this show。我为了这场秀练习了很久，好吗？Practice 加上 d 呢，变成过去简单式。那如果说呢，我没有练习呢，这个否定句除了刚刚看到 be 动词 was were， 我们可以呢加上 not 之外，例如呢 I was not at home last night， 我昨晚不在家was not 或是 wasn't。那呢我们也可以使用呢 do does 的过去式 did 加上 not 来辅助动词咯。像刚刚说我没有练习的话呢 I didn't practice at all， 完全没练习。注意到呢 did not 或者是呢 didn't 后面呢我们要接原形动词咯。那么问句该怎么造呢？我们呢记得就倒装了，把 be 动词或是助动词移到句首咯。Did you go to the mall？ 你有去百货公司吗？或者是呢 Were you here at the party yesterday？ 你昨天呢有没有在这个 party 现场啊？当然呢，我们也可以搭配 WH 疑问词咯。What did you do last week？ 你上礼拜都做了些什么？过去简单式呢就是这么好用，这么常用，你也赶快记起来咯。
All right, now, of course, we can know a lot about tarot cards by maybe reading a book about the history of fortune telling or the history of tarot cards. But an even better way is to talk to someone who actually uses these things. And that's what we did. As it says, we spoke to Catherine, a tarot card reader. Very interesting.
OK， 所以我们呢就找到一个厉害的塔罗师，有跟他讲话。这个 spoke 是个 speak 的过去式。那我们再看一下这个字怎么使用。
And often when we see this in an article, right, when it says we spoke to someone, that doesn't mean we just spoke. We asked them questions too.
Yeah. 好，那我们先进到今天的 Word Power 1。Speak 就是有说话、去谈话的意思。那它的三态是 speak, spoke, spoken。所以呢，我们在讲说讲什么语言，我们可以用这一个字，所以就是 speak 加上一个语言就可以了。比如说呢，他西班牙文说得很流利，我们的英文就是 He speaks Spanish fluently。那这个字我们再加一个 er， 就会变成喇叭或者是演讲者 speaker， 这个字也可以，或者是演讲呢，英文就是 speech。那我们看一下另外一个句子 Lindsay's teacher spoke to her about her mistake on the exam. Lindsay 的老师呢跟她说她考试上犯的错误。 所以刚刚老师那一句啊 ，We spoke to Catherine, a tarot card reader， 这个其实就是同位语的用法。那我们再照另外一个同位语的看法，你看到 My best friend Sandra， 然后我们前面有一个逗号，后面有一个逗号，在 got promoted last week， 这个 Sandra 就是去补充这个 best friend 这个东西，这个就是同位语的用法。
All right, so yeah, we got a chance to ask some questions and speak to Catherine. So as the article says, let's learn about her interesting job. I think most people would agree. I mean, if you're at a party or sitting on an airplane and you chat with the person and you find out they're a tarot card reader or a fortune teller of any kind, I think most people would say, wow, that is a very interesting job. I have many questions.
那我们来看一下 interesting 这个字。Interesting 就是有趣的，所以这个字是来自于它的名词动词，它的名词动词的样子都是 interest， 那它就指兴趣或者是使谁感到有兴趣的。所以我们说什么东西是令人感到有兴趣的，都可以使用 interesting。所以像是一个很有趣的话题 interesting topic， 很有趣的故事 interesting story， 或者是一个很有趣的人 interesting person， 我们都是可以使用这个字。比如说 He has a lot of interesting stories to tell， 他有很多很有趣的故事可以讲。那我们再造一个句子 I'm reading an interesting book about dogs. It makes me want to learn more about them. 我在读一本有关狗狗的很有趣的书，让我对狗更好奇了。
All right, so we're going to do our article as kind of an interview, right? It's going to have a person asking a question and then Catherine, the tarot card reader, giving her answers. So let's look. It says A+, that's us, that's the writer asking the questions, asking a question, which is a good one to start with. Why did you become a tarot card reader? I mean, you could ask that for any job, right? Why did you become a doctor? Why did you become a lawyer? Why did you become a tarot card reader?
所以你为什么会开始成为这个塔罗师？为什么想要成为塔罗师呢？
And Catherine gives an interesting answer. She says, I wanted to explore the inner part of myself. Interesting. Notice she doesn't say I wanted to make a lot of money or I wanted to have power. No, she wanted to explore the inner part of herself. This doesn't mean she's going to put a camera in her mouth to look at her stomach. We're not talking about the inner part of yourself, like inside your body. We kind of mean your mind, your spiritual life, your emotions, you know, things like that. Not your physical body, but the world in your mind.
所以 explore 它就是有去探索或研究，所以他想要去探索一下自己的内在。这边的 inner 就是内心的或内在的。
And we often talk about your inner life, right? As the world of your thoughts and your emotions and stuff like that. Okay, so she was curious about her mind, her life, why she thinks things, why things happen to her, that sort of thing. So she says, I went to fortune tellers. Okay, you could go to a psychiatrist, I guess, a psychologist, talk about your feelings, your mind. But you can also maybe try a different way and find your local fortune teller.
所以呢，他就去算命啦。
And then she says, I tried so many kinds and became interested in fortune telling. Because there are different ways, right?
Yeah.
For people to tell your fortune, they can use important numbers like your birth date. They can look into a crystal ball. They can read the leaves in your teacup and all sorts of things. Read the lines on your hand, you know, all of that stuff. So those are the different kinds that she tried. And generally, she became interested in fortune telling as kind of an art or a science, more of an art.
所以我们刚刚看到 interesting， 那这边是 interested， 它是不一样的哦。我们再来看一下 interested 跟 interesting 怎么分辨。Interested 这边是 ed 结尾 ，ed 结尾代表是人自己本身自身的感受，感到兴趣，跟刚刚 interesting 不一样。interesting 是什么东西令你感到有兴趣，所以我们通常使用 interested 这一个字，我们会使用 be 动词加上 interested， 再加上 in， 再加上你有兴趣的东西。比如说 Are you interested in math？ 你对数学是有兴趣的吗？其实它就会蛮像 Do you find or do you think math is interesting？ 差不多的意思，是你觉得数学是有趣的嘛？因为数学让你感到有趣，并不是数学本身自己感到有趣，它没有生命，它没有办法感受，只有我们有办法感受。所以通常在讲人的 feeling 的时候，我们都会使用 interested 这个字。好，那我们再看另外一个句子 Nicole is interested in knowing more about her friend's hobby。就是 Nicole 呢，她想要更了解她朋友的嗜好。
All right, so yeah, she kind of got interested after visiting some fortune tellers, and so she decided to try it herself. And it says later, she says, I began studying tarot. I used it to fix my own problems at first. So I guess if you're going to be a fortune teller, you kind of have to choose one way of telling fortunes, right? Because you have to be really, really good at it. And she chose not the tea leaves, not reading the lines in your hand. She decided to use these tarot cards, which notice she just shortens down to tarot. That is using tarot cards to tell your fortune. And also notice that this word tarot, you don't say the T on the end. It sounds more like T-A-R-O, tarot, because it's a French word, I guess. And then she says, I used tarot and fortune telling with tarot cards to fix my own problems at first. That's kind of interesting. You don't just have to use it on another person and tell them about their future. You can use it on yourself. It's a one-person game. Yes, as opposed to a two-person game.
Yeah, 所以我们看到说他一开始使用这一个塔罗是来去解决自己的问题，这个 fix 这边是解决的意思。那我们再看一下还有没有其他的用法哦。Fix 我们刚刚讲了，它就是解决或处理的意思。不过我们也可以讲说，可能是补妆啊、妆容，或者是你的头发去整理、梳洗都可以。所以比如说 ，Can you give me 5 more minutes? I need to fix my hair. 可以再给我5分钟吗？我想要整理一下我的头发。那我们再看一个句子 ，Ivan couldn't fix his health problems, so he turned to a doctor for help. Ivan 没有办法自己解决他健康问题，所以他就必须找医生求助。
So she started using tarot cards on herself. I guess that's also a good way of practicing, right? Because I think you have to know what each card means. And if the card is upside down, it often has another meaning. So there would be probably a lot to remember. If you're going to do this well, as a job. But she learned all the things she needed to know. And she says, then now I help others too. So, like a lot of people, if you're going to be a chef or a baker or something, you might make food on your own, make breads and cakes for your friends. And then once you get good enough, then you can start doing it as a job. Yeah.
所以他一开始是帮自己算嘛，现在可以帮别人算了，他现在可以帮别人做咯。
All right, here's a good question. How did you get this job? Was there a job interview? What was it like? Yeah, good question.
对，所以我们有没有问他这个塔罗斯这个问题？我问 Catherine 说，你当时候是怎么达到这个工作的啊？然后你有面试吗？那它是一个什么样的体验？什么样的情况呢？我们这边看到 interview，它就是一个面试。所以我们来看一下这个字怎么使用吧。Interview 这边是面试的意思，那它是指名词，它那边是名词使用。那我们说工作求职面试，英文其实就是 job interview。所以比如说 Are you nervous about your job interview tomorrow? 你明天的面试会紧张吗？那这个字其实也可以当动词哦，当动词也是有访问某人啊，对某人进行面试的意思。所以比如说 We interviewed a lot of candidates, but none of them impressed us. 我们面试超多人，但是没有一个人是让我们印象深刻的。那我们再看另外一个句子，我们使用它当名词。Ava had an interview at the university. 3 professors asked her questions about her study plans. Ava 呢，在这个大学呢参加了一场面试。那3位教授呢，都去询问有关她的读书计划。
Yeah, now this is an interesting question because I would think that a fortune teller only works for themselves. I've never heard of a fortune-telling company advertising on TV with, many stores around the country like a fast food restaurant. But actually, Catherine says, I was surprised there was an interview. So I guess she works for a company that has different types of fortune tellers and probably in different cities so people can go wherever they are. So yeah, there was actually a job interview for a fortune teller. But wouldn't the job interview be kind of a waste of time because if you will get the job? I don't have to do the interview. You will hire me. I can see the future. It's a little confusing. But again, there is apparently a job interview for being a fortune teller.
所以 Catherine 其实一开始也是蛮惊讶，她说我知道有面试的时候，我也是觉得哇 there is an interview, I didn't know that.
Yeah, very strange. And what was the interview like? Well, it was kind of like a job interview. I talked with the boss and read cards for her during the interview. So of course, in any job interview, you'll talk with the boss, the person who will decide to hire you or not. And then you might show some of your skills, right? I guess if you're a chef, they might ask you to cook some dishes. If you're a performer, they might ask you to sing a song or play something. And if you're good enough, they'll hire you. And it was kind of like that. So she talked with his boss, told her about where she studied and how long she's been doing it. And the boss then said, okay, do my cards, read my cards, or tell my fortune.
所以呢，他怎么做呢？就跟一般求职面试差不多，他就是跟老板讲话，然后算命给他看，算塔罗牌给他看。那老师刚刚发音大家没有注意到，这边是读塔罗，这个 read 因为是过去是要变 read， 所以大家注意一下。
I think I could do well on this. I would just find the boss's Facebook page.
And then
look at all the pictures and say, oh, I see that you had a holiday, or, know everything about them. All right, guys, that's all the time we have for today, but we do have a little bit of extra time for a review, so let's go and do that.
Review time!
All right, guys, for our review time, we're going to look at the 4 new words we learned today, play a little game with them to help you guys remember, and then we will be done. I can see the future. Yes, after that, we will be done. I know the future. So let's look at our 4 words. Speak, interesting, interested, and interview. We're going to play opposites, but you knew that already, right?
Yeah.
You guessed, because you also can see the future. All right, so opposites, I'll basically say a word or a short phrase that means totally the different thing from the word we learned, okay?
Okay.
All right, boring.
Interesting.
Right.
Bored and interested. Interesting, boring.
You're jumping ahead again. You can see the future. You knew I said boring and my next word was going to be bored.
Okay.
And if you're bored, the opposite would be?
Interested.
Interested, right? Boring, interesting, bored, interested. Okay, how about shut up?
Speak.
Yes, exactly. Shut up. Don't speak. Be silent. Don't say anything. The opposite of speak. And what about, a speech.
A speech. So that's the person you're talking. You're basically saying you're the person that's giving the speech.
Yes,
but
a speech.
if you are at an interview, you're being asked a lot of questions.
Well, yeah, and also a speech is one person talking, right? Whereas an interview is questions and answers. You got to have 2 people. You can't do an interview.
Maybe it's an interview.
Yeah, it would be an interview, right? Because a speech would be one person talking while everyone listens. An interview is questions and answers between at least 2 people. Okay, guys, I can see our future, and it brings us back here tomorrow at the same time for another article on this interesting topic of tarot card reading and tarot card readers. Please join us for that.
Talking to a tarot card reader. Warm-up question. Do you want to know your future before it happens? Why or why not?
People started using tarot cards to tell fortunes a long time ago. We spoke to Catherine, a tarot card reader. Let's learn about her interesting job.
Why did you become a tarot card reader?
I wanted to explore the inner part of myself, so I went to fortune tellers. I tried so many kinds and became interested in fortune telling. Later, I began studying tarot. I used it to fix my own problems at first. Now, I help others too.
How did you get this job? Was there a job interview? What was it like?
I was surprised there was an interview. I talked with the boss and read cards for her during the interview. Word power.
Speak, 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 spoke, spoken. Lindsay's teacher spoke to her about her mistakes on the exam. Lindsay's teacher spoke to her about her mistakes on the exam. Interesting, interesting. I'm reading an interesting book about dogs. It makes me want to learn more about them. I'm reading an interesting book about dogs. It makes me want to learn more about them. Interested. Interested. Nicole is interested in knowing more about her friend's hobby. Nicole is interested in knowing more about her friend's hobby. Fix. Fix. Ivan couldn't fix his health problems, so he turned to a doctor for help. Ivan couldn't fix his health problems, so he turned to a doctor for help. Interview. Interview. Ava had an interview at the university. 3 professors asked her questions about her study plans. Ava had an interview at the university. 3 professors asked her questions about her study plans.
认识字汇
Tell fortune. Tell fortune. Fortune teller. Fortune teller. Fortune telling. Fortune telling. Explore. Explore. Inner. Inner.